afternoon, sir. Start कीजिए announcement.
Good morning, Director sir, Principal ma'am, STNC sir, Manager sir, and our calling staffs. आज का विषय वस्तु क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग अर्थात सकारात्मक सोच। आपके जीवन में सकारात्मक सोच का बहुत ही बड़ा महत्व है। जैसा कि आप जानते होंगे कि कोई भी शिक्षक बिना सकारात्मक सोच का किसी भी कार्य को संपादन नहीं कर सकता है। जैसा कि जीवन में यदि हम शिक्षा जगत से जुड़े हुए हैं तो शिक्षक का बहुत बड़ा महत्व होता है। कहा जाता है शिक्षक टीचर सोच अ पैथ ऑन व्हिच स्टूडेंट टू गो। टीचर रास्ता दिखाता है जिसमें बच्चों को चलना है। तो यह बहुत जरूरी होता है कि हम जब विषय या किसी कक्षा में जाते हैं, किसी विषय वस्तु को डिस्क्राइब करने जाते हैं, तो हमारी सोच बहुत ही सकारात्मक होनी चाहिए। सकारात्मक सोच के साथ हमारा हर शिक्षा को देने का या हमारी शिक्षा को आदान प्रदान करने का जो जरिया है वो बहुत ही सुलभ रहेगा। तो इसी विषय वस्तु पर हमारे जो विद्यालय के रिस्पेक्टेड सदस्य सर जो कि टीजी की मैथ है वह अपनी व्याख्यान देने आ रहे हैं। तो मैं अपने शिक्षक को आदरणीय सदस्य को आग्रह करूंगा कि वह आए और अपने व्याख्यान से सभी को अनुभूत करें। धन्यवाद।
Good morning, all of you. I am Satyendra Yadav, TGT Maths. Here I present to explain about creative thinking. First of all, I want to tell what is creative thinking. Thought process designed to encourage originality in the development and elaborations of original and diverse ideas are known as creative thinking. 7 important creative thinking skills. Suspending advocacy of your ideas to push for another person's concept. Second, putting your own ideas to the same test you apply to an idea from someone else. Next, third, combining two different ideas and making them better as one idea. Next, fourth, letting someone else take ownership of your ideas in order to build support for it. Next, 5, this planning the patience to the wait for someone else to say what need to be said, so all you have to do it agrees. Next is sticking to your guns and challenges to the creative ideas which makes solid strategy senses. Next 7, always looking for new creative skills to develop in yourself and those around you. 8, creative thinking technique. First of all, mind mapping. Second, the checklist. Third, 6 thinking hats. 4, lateral thinking. 5, random word generations. Like many people with dyslexia, testing was a late talker. He didn't start speaking comfortably until he was nearly 6 years old. In fact, that period of his early life is so well known that delayed speech in kids is sometimes called the stage syndrome. Some people say he struggled with reading aloud and with word retrieval. He also found it hard to express his thoughts and ideas in writing and may have struggled with foreign language too. Many people with dyslexia thrive when they were able to learn in a creative way. Instead, had a hard time at his elementary school. His classes relied heavily on memorizations and rote learning, but he did very well after switching to a new school that encouraged creative thinking and learning. People with learning differences naturally think outside the box. Albert Einstein was no exception. His ability to think creatively meant he came up with ideas that other scientists hadn't imagined. Frida Kahlo. At the age of 18, Frida Kahlo was injured in a bus accident, which sent a handrail through her back and out of her pelvis. The crash crushed her foot and dislocated her shoulders. Her collarbone, two ribs, and her leg were broken, but the most detrimental injuries were to her spine and pelvis. Both were broken in 3 separate places. This body altering event led to the life of surgeries, recoveries, and pain. Throughout her entire life, Kahlo endured multiple surgeries trying to fix her broken body. One of these included medically re-breaking her back to set it in the proper positions. She spent large spells of time bedridden in cats. One of her first words is actually her plaster torso cast on which she doodled while her body healed. Another of operations was towards the end of her life when her leg became infected with gangrene. It was amputated at the knee. Her horrible physical situations become her inspirations for her was on news says the subject knew best. Calhoun's pen created words focusing on the death, decay and brokenness of the human body. Next, Ludwig van Beethoven. One of the most surprising facts about Beethoven is that he was deaf. How can a musician, a composer, lack what we would imagine to be his most important sense? The first people he confided in were those who were geographically far from him, but in whom he had absolute confidence, those who lived at Bonn. When he could no longer hide his handicap, women used notebooks in which visitors cows write what they wanted him to know, or equally ask what they wanted to know. To be true, it was an infallibility that established itself slowly and also developed itself quite erratically. What was really dramatic was the moment in which the young successful composers and virtuoso had to accept that he was suffering from a chronic, incurable illness with which he will have to live, and it was going to get worse. When it became clear that Beethoven was deaf, he accepted it. Beethoven had heard and played music for the first 3 decades of his life. So he knew how instruments and voices sounded and how they worked together. His deafness was a slow deterioration rather than sudden loss of hearing, so he could always imagine in his mind what his compositions would sound like. He wrote 6 of his best symphonies during his prayer. Next, Srinivasan Ramanujan. As a devout Hindu, Ramanujan comprised certain religious principles when he crossed the sea from his homeland of India to travel to Cambridge in England. Yet he remained a rigid follower in observation of dietary strictures. The war had deprived him to full access to customary Indian cosmetics to adequately meet his customary vegetarian food intake. This was made worse by self-catering his food needs only erratically while following his research. Observably, he would work continually for 30 hours and sleep for 20 hours. Elias Neville recollected that Ramanujam excited cooking only once a day or two. From this, it can be conjectured that Ramanujam likely suffered malnutrition. After 3 remarkably productive years of collaborations, he spent a long time in a nursing home, even with further time in sanatoria at Wales. Matlock and with specialist care in London, it looked until autumn 1980 before he showed noticeable improvement. When his conditions seemed sufficiently stable, return to India's familiar climate seemed visible. The war was over, and in nearly 1990, Ramanujam was able to commence a voyage home, but suffered a relapse even by the time they arrived in Bombay on 27 March 1999. Contrarily to Hobbes in his native land, his health still relentlessly declined, and he survived only to 26 April 1920 before death claimed him, despite his prolonged and severe illness, remaining handwritten notes consisting of formulas on singular moles, hypergeometric series, and continued fractions left behind after his death, show that he remained committed to his mathematical quest. Now, reversing assumptions in the illustrations above, figure shows 2 lines bonded by arrow-like angle, in which the arrow lines are reserved on one of the lines. We tend to see 2 lines of differing length in figure B. It is apartment that reverses the cost on illusions, which changed our perceptions and created the illusions of a shorter line. It is not shorter measured in at, you will find it is equal in length. The lines haven't changed, your perceptions of them has. A simple reservoir of angles dramatically change what we see in the illustrations. The same perceptual changes occur when we reserve our conventional thinking patterns about problems that you had to bring people to the work, he reversed this to bring the work to the people and accomplished his goal by inventing the assembly line. If you start with incorrect assumptions, your solutions will be poorly constructed. Sometimes assumptions seem so basic, so fundamental that we never think to challenge them. Assumptions are maintained by the whole of history. History does not guarantee their validity, nor does it even reassess their validity at times, and assumptions present a false facts that we mistake for something fixed or term that cannot be challenged. Sometimes the solution to a problem lies within the problem itself. Fractions allows you take a change apart and reassemble the parts into new ideas, giving a child a complete model for it, giving him a place where his ideas go to die. He has little choice but to use it as it is. However, if you give him a set of building blocks, he can create any number of new and unique structures. Cherry split divides a challenge into separate blocks which you can reassemble in different ways to create any number of alternative ideas. By splitting attributes, we can shift and reshape conceptions of the problem into ideas where none existed before. Now, I want to call Mr. Suresh sir to say something about this topic.
Very thanks, Satyendra sir, to give me a chance to know my view on this topic here, creative thinking. So, first of all, I would like to focus what is creative thinking. Creative thinking is a major tool. Creative thinking is a major tool to give the all-round development to students. Creative thinking prepares us for this view. Before creative thinking, we have to think about critical thinking. Critical thinking first, then creative thinking. Critical thinking is the father of creative thinking. Critical thinking opens our door of creative thinking. So, first of all, we should more focus on critical thinking. Critical thinking, suppose that you have to make a table. So how to make a table? How to make a table? It requires so many tools, so many elements will be done. All types of knowledge we gain from critical thinking. If your critical thinking is better, then your creative thinking will be also better. Creative thinking totally depends on critical thinking. Now, we are going to discuss 5 characters of critical thinking. Characters are disposition. Critical thinkers have a specific trait that allow them to think the way